And so I just assumed that all the social justice, racial justice warrior people would be up in arms and be like, hey, we got to call balls and strikes here. The woman who is allowing all of these other spoiled, entitled brats to fly private to basketball games.
When I think about Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for the sport.
The woman who gives them a glimmer of hope that the WNBA won't lose $50 million this year like they have every other year in their existence.
Picture this. Caitlin Clark steps onto the WNBA court for her debut. The crowd's going wild. But then, bam, 10 turnovers. That's a record and not the good kind. Now, fans are pointing fingers at the league. What's really going on here? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Let's talk about Clark's big night. The arena was electric, fans decked out in Clark Fever shirts. You could feel the buzz in the air. Clark didn't disappoint, dropping 20 points like it was nothing. Everyone thought, this is it. The WNBA's new star is here.
That Caitlin Clark should have been on the team ahead of the 12 people selected ahead of her because of basketball.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark, sorry to interrupt, Rebecca, getting into it with a fan.
When I think about Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for the sport.
Man, this certainly looks racist. And so I had the team. I was like, hey, tell me what ESPN says about this.
But here's where things get crazy. Those 10 turnovers, that's more than any player in their first WNBA game, ever. It's like watching a roller coaster, right? One minute she's soaring, the next she's stumbling. You know what's crazier? This is just the beginning of Clark's wild ride in the WNBA. Get ready, because this story's about to take some wild turns. And wild turns it took. Just when you thought Clark's roller coaster couldn't get any crazier, the WNBA stepped in with a statement that sent shockwaves through the league.
The woman single-handedly carrying the WNBA to relevancy.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
The woman who is allowing all of these other spoiled, entitled brats to fly private to basketball games. Caitlin Clark has made this league relevant, and this deranged bigot.
What could they possibly have said to make 80% of fans turn off their TVs? The WNBA thought they were being proactive. They released a statement condemning racist and derogatory comments. Sounds good, right? But here's the thing, it completely missed the mark. Fans weren't just disappointed, they were furious. You see, while the WNBA was busy talking about hate speech, Clark's supporters were screaming about something else entirely. They wanted the league to address how Clark was being treated on the court. One fan put it perfectly, the hatefulness and vindictiveness has been towards Caitlin Clark this season. Ouch! So what happened next? Fans did what fans do best. They voted with their remotes. We're talking a mass exodus. 80% of viewers just straight up turned off their TVs. That's not just a drop in ratings, that's a nosedive. But why such a strong reaction? It's simple. Clark's supporters felt like the WNBA was ignoring the real problem. They saw their new star getting roughed up on the court and the league. They were talking about something totally different. This isn't just about one player though. The whole situation exposed some serious cracks in the WNBA's foundation. Fans are questioning everything from the officiating to how the league protects its players. It's like someone turned on the lights at a party and suddenly everyone can see all the mess that was hidden in the dark. The tension between Clark's fans and the WNBA. It's at an all-time high. On one side, you've got passionate supporters who feel like their voice isn't being heard.
In regards to Clark, starting with WNBA legend Cheryl Swoops herself.
And so I foolishly assumed, play the video of Carrington nailing Caitlin Clark.
Where all the people that Stephen A? Oh, she don't do this. She not gonna do that. Let her cook.
How all of a sudden that's in the mind's eye of everybody else. You clearly have this person, Caitlin Clark, to thank for it.
On the other, a league that seems out of touch with what's happening on the court. Here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore. It's about the future of the WNBA itself. Fans are demanding change, and they're not backing down. They want better officiating, more protection for players, and a league that actually listens to them. And you know what? The WNBA might not have a choice but to listen. When you got 80% of your fans ready to walk away, that's not just a wake-up call. That's a 5-alarm fire. So what's next for the WNBA? They're at a crossroads. Do they double down and stick to their guns? Or do they take a hard look in the mirror and make some real changes? One thing's for sure, the ball's in their court now. The WNBA thought they were in control, but Clark's army of fans just flipped the script. You think you've seen fan power before? This is next level. How are ordinary viewers forcing one of the biggest women's sports leagues to rethink everything? It's not just about tweets and angry comments anymore. Clark's supporters are on a mission, and they're not pulling any punches. They're calling out every bad call, every missed foul, and they're doing it loud enough for the whole league to hear. Remember that game against the Las Vegas Aces? It was like watching a boxing match, not a basketball game. Clark was getting knocked around, and the refs.
That's her last name. She bumped into her, sped up. Let her cook.
I assume, I mean, are you kidding? Did her hand catch a cramp? Look at what her fingers and hands do.
There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it.
I think we see that. We see the capability on the basketball court. She can shoot, she can handle, she certainly can pass, okay?
If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player said.
They might as well have been blindfolded, but the real shocker came when Aaliyah Boston took an elbow to the face. No whistle, no foul, nothing. That's when Clark's fans lost it. Social media exploded. Fans were posting clips of the game, pointing out every missed call. They weren't just mad, they were organized. It was like watching a courtroom drama unfold on Twitter. The evidence was piling up, and the WNBA was looking guiltier by the minute. But here's where it gets crazy. These fans aren't just complaining, they're taking action. They're hitting the WNBA where it hurts, in the ratings. Remember that mass exodus we talked about? That wasn't just a one-time thing. Fans are saying they're done with the WNBA until things change. One fan summed it up perfectly. The hatefulness and vindictiveness has been towards Caitlin Clark this season. That's not just a complaint, that's an indictment. And it's not just coming from one or two angry viewers, it's a whole movement. So what do these fans want? It's simple. They're demanding fair play. They want refs who call the game right. They want star players protected. And most of all, they want a league that listens to them. Think about it. When was the last time you saw fans this fired up? They're not just asking for change, they're demanding it. And they're backing up their demands with action. Turning off the TV might not seem like much, but when 80% of your viewers do it.
Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's why you should have had Caitlin Clark.
And so I just assume that all the social justice, racial justice warrior people would be up in arms and be like, hey, we got to call balls and strikes here.
As she broke the WNBA single-season rookie mark for assists, Stephen A.
So she couldn't get that double-digit assist record 3 consecutive games with at least 20 points.
That's a statement you can't ignore. The WNBA is in a tight spot now. They can't just brush this off. Every game, every call, every decision is under the microscope. Fans are watching like hawks, ready to call out any hint of unfairness. It's like the league's playing with a whole new rule book and the fans are the refs. But here's the thing, this isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore. Sure, she's the spark that lit the fire, but now it's spreading. Fans are standing up for all players. They're demanding a better WNBA, not just for Clark, but for everyone who steps on that court. And you know what? It might just work. The WNBA can't afford to lose its fans. They're feeling the heat and changes are coming. We're talking better training for refs, more accountability, maybe even changes to how games are officiated. All because fans decided enough was enough. With all eyes on the league, let's zoom in on the eye of the storm.
I said marketing matters in everything. Promotion matters in everything, and you're not going to get around that. That is what I said.
So for me, it's not just about talking about one player. It's about talking about all the players.
And now the officials calling on security to take a look.
As close as we'll probably ever get to Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan all over again.
Caitlin Clark's transition to the WNBA isn't what anyone predicted. Think you know what it's like to be a rookie? Clark's experience will make you think again. Imagine stepping onto the court for your first pro game. The crowd's roaring, expectations are sky high, and suddenly, you're hit with a reality check. That's exactly what happened to Caitlin Clark. Her debut was a mix of highs and lows that left everyone wondering, is this the same player who dominated college basketball? Clark's not hiding from the truth. She knows her start wasn't perfect. In her own words, she admitted, "I know the outside world thinks I'm gonna do some amazing things, but that might take some time." That's real talk from a player who's facing the toughest challenge of her career. But here's the thing, Clark's not backing down. She's tackling this new chapter head on, knowing it's not going to be all smooth sailing. There's gonna be good ones, there's gonna be bad ones. She said, that's the kind of attitude that separates the great from the good.
But if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'd have told Skylar Diggins, get your coat, your...
For other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them. But you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Caitlin Clark got you watching the league because it wasn't just her. You wanted to see who eventually she was going to end up going against. She has you transfixed on the entire league. That's why I brought up Michael Jordan and Larry Bird.
Now, let's talk about the pressure. It's not just fans and media expecting miracles. Clark's carrying the hopes of an entire franchise on her shoulders. The Indiana Fever isn't exactly a powerhouse, and they're looking to Clark to turn things around. That's a lot for any rookie to handle, let alone one with Clark's hype. Her coach, Christy Sides, is trying to keep things in perspective. She pointed out, this is the best league in the world. We've got to teach her what these games are going to look like for her every single night. And it's a reminder that even the best college players need time to adjust to the pro level. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite the rough start, Clark's already showing signs of why she was the #1 draft pick. Early in the season, she was putting up impressive numbers. 16.7 points, 6.2 assists, and 5.5 rebounds per game. That's not just good for a rookie, that's good for any player in the league. Clark's journey isn't just about stats though, it's about adapting to a whole new world. She's dealing with more than just tougher opponents on the court. Off the court, the demands are just as intense. Clark opened up about this, saying, honestly, I feel like I talk to the media more than I get to talk to my own family, which is really kind of sad in a way.
About what happened to Caitlin Clark, they'll be back in playoff action tomorrow against the Connecticut Sun in an elimination game.
We talk about league attendance. The Indiana Fever, all right, with Caitlin Clark, led the league in attendance both home and on the road.
What I want to clear up is that for whatever reason, there's this narrative that I hate Caitlin Clark.
I look at it from that standpoint and I say mad respect. Are there other players in the WNBA that are better? Yes.
The woman who gives them a glimmer of hope that the WNBA won't lose $50 million this year like they have every other year in their existence.
That's the side of pro sports you don't always see. The constant interviews, the pressure to be on all the time, the lack of downtime. It's enough to wear anyone down, but Clark's finding ways to stay grounded. She's focusing on the little things that remind her why she loves the game. The young fans cheering her on, the thrill of competition, the chance to inspire others. As Clark puts it, it's the little things that remind me every single day of why I do this. That's the kind of perspective that can carry a player through the tough times. And make no mistake, there have been tough times. Those early criticisms, they stung, but Clark's not letting them define her. She's using them as fuel, learning from every game, every mistake, every success. It's that resilience that's got people excited about her future in the league. Caitlin Clark's journey in the WNBA has been a wild ride. She's faced tough challenges, but she's also shown flashes of brilliance. It's not just about her stats or her plays anymore. Clark's story is shaking up the whole basketball world. And think about it, we're not just talking about a rookie finding her feet. We're talking about race, gender, and the future of women's sports. Clark's experiences are sparking conversations that go way beyond the court. Here's the crazy part. Clark's impact could change everything. The way fans are rallying behind her, that's new. The pressure on the WNBA to step up, that's new too. We're watching history unfold, and it's all because of one player who refuses to back down. So what's next for women's basketball? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, after Caitlin Clark, nothing will be the same.